hopefully. While we're waiting, do you guys have any questions about anything? No?
I'm trying to think. Mhm.
Hi, Sean.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Sean,
I was just,
I love those breath work videos that you shared. Especially the one, it's so funny because I saw the long one because I started following that person after I did a couple of the videos you shared. I started following and I saw that long one. And then when you said that you did it, I'm like, okay, I got to do this now.
what was
And
your experience?
it was really intense. And now I'm like kind of addicted to it. And I've done it a couple more times, but I also, my daughter is in training to be a breathwork facilitator.
Mm,
And it was so funny because I was telling my mom about it. I'm like, I've been doing breath work and it's really good. And I was trying to sell her on the idea. And she's like, well, I want to try it. And I was going to send her one of the videos that, Sean had sent. And the very next day, it was so weird. My daughter sent a text to both me and my mom and said, hey, I need somebody to practice on with my breath work. And so she did a session with my mom and I on Friday, and it was really good, similar style, she's also like a Reiki practitioner and other things. So she does like a whole, cleansing of the room, and she brings a lot of spiritual aspects to it, which I thought it was really interesting because I feel like it was just like a healing journey because it was like three generations of women,
yeah,
my mom, my
yeah.
daughter, and we had that whole experience together. And it was amazing because this is so, again, my mom is only into this stuff because of, and not even really into it, but she just kind of goes with it. And she had a really amazing experience
Mm,
herself. Like she was like, asked Courtney, she's like, are you burning something? Like she thought Courtney started burning an incense, and Courtney's like, no. And so she was
mm.
smelling something.
Some people do that. So sometimes people can have, they'll have a sense of smell. And
Huh.
it can be even, so I've had people smell the scent of their grandmother.
Yeah, that's what Courtney was
Yeah.
saying. She's like, that's probably a guide or a spirit that's with you, which could be many. I mean,
Because everything is energy. Everything is
yeah,
energy. So like if they're there, if the grandmother's there, she might want the grandchild to know that the no doubt, right? To leave no
Hmm.
doubt. So they just express energy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's everything is energy. So yeah. So yeah, the only thing I'll say about, oh good, Dia's joining. Good. Hi, Dia.
Hi, hi,
Hi.
hi.
So glad you made it.
Oh gosh, I've been planning on it, and still I'm last minute Lily. I have to, no matter how much time you give me, I have to make it a push at the last. And I just, yeah, obviously. Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you, everyone. So glad all of you could make it who could, because I changed the time. Um, yeah, we were just talking, Megan was talking about how she did breath work, her daughter's training to be a breath work facilitator. And so Megan's mom and Megan, and then her daughter all did this breath work. Well, her daughter facilitated it. And
Mhm.
so, uh, and then her mother was smelling something. She thought that Megan's daughter had lit something because she was having a sense of smell. She was smelling something, and I was talking about the fact that that does happen to people when they have experiences. They can have like under hypnosis or quantum healing hypnosis techniques, things like that, or past life regressions, they can have a sense of, they'll smell like their grandmother, or they'll smell something that reminds them of an experience with a certain person. So and I was just saying it's all energy, right? So the sense of smell is energy. So there's energy, and then we interpret it with our nose. Our nose has a certain frequency range that it can interpret that it does interpret as smell.
So
Our
we're
eyes,
interpreting it. This is really important
yeah,
to me because it's happened. So it's all well, of course, that's all there is our own perception and experience of
hmm
it. But it, the energy, the person or the whatever, the dog, that really, it seems like it really, really happens. They do have that aroma.
yeah, yeah. So, our eyes see a certain frequency range. Our ears hear a frequency range, and our taste buds taste a frequency range, and our sense of touch, our sense of touch, we experience a certain frequency range. So all of our senses have a different range of energies that they are interpreting. So now, it's really exciting to kind of listen to like the telepathy tapes. And then also I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast yesterday as we went up to Petaluma, which is about an hour from here. And then we were driving back down. So we were listening to this podcast of Joe Rogan on UFOs. And it was these two men who were part of this, I guess, kind of the UAP or UFO. I can't remember the exact division of the government, but they were both master sergeants in, I guess that's in the Air Force, master sergeants. I'm not really sure, but anyway, they're both that rank. And then they went into this UAP UFO division. And they had experiences with ETs when they were young. Both of them had experiences with UFOs when they were young. They saw UFOs. And then later, in the discussion, they were talking. One man in particular, had an encounter with a extraterrestrial. So he looks very similar to us, but he had no ears. But he has very light skin. Like he thought the guy was hypothermic because it was really cold outside and the guy was running. So it was a humanoid like us, very similar to us. And he was running from his spacecraft to the highway. And they saw him and they stopped, and he didn't recognize that he didn't have ears right away. But anyway, the point was really the whole episode, I was just sitting there so excited because just how they were talking about how reading energy and how these, being in the presence of these ETs, some people can kind of lose their mind because the difference in energy is so high. So when Tucker Carlson was on Joe Rogan's podcast, Tucker Carlson was talking about how there are people that have experienced ETs that they're in the VA now. They're in the Veterans Hospital because it basically like shattered their brain. And it is because they are very high frequency. And so the energy difference is really large. So like when Daryl Anka channels Bashar, he has to raise his frequency up, and then Bashar has to lower his frequency down so they can meet. And this is true of many channels. And it used to wear Daryl out a bit. And also with Paul Selig too, he would get tired because the energy is very strong. And so the more resistance you have in your physical body, the more you will feel tired. You'll feel like you'll feel exhausted after the fact. So the more that you can relax, because when we relax, what are we doing? We're expanding. And when we're expanding, we're letting go, that's more energy coming in. So we're all in the process of doing that. And that's why these encounters are becoming more frequent. And also we are going to have open contact very soon. But it's really exciting to hear all of this because I've been understanding this for a really long time. And what we're doing, especially in this group, because still I think a lot of humanity doesn't really understand this piece, and that is that we're not the body. I mean, they might have this idea, but they are not experiencing themselves as this, right? So you guys are like actively having it in your awareness that you are not the physical body. You are a body of consciousness. You're a field of energy. And actually, that field of energy is inside of you, because you, as consciousness, are just like the sky. There's nothing, it's just space, right? Empty space. It's an unbounded field of consciousness that isn't even aware. And then once you become aware, so when awareness appears inside, so you can think of consciousness as like this. I go like this, but then that implies a closed sphere, right? But it's not. It's just it's unbounded. So it's limitless. But within that unbounded sphere, let's say, then it's dividing itself infinitely, infinitely small, infinitely large. It just keeps going and going and going. There are no boundaries. But it's all within the one thing. But as you start to open up and start to understand yourself as the field, then you begin to sense and feel things outside of the physical body. So you become more aware, you perceive more energy out here that you didn't know you had access to it before. Right? You thought your mind was in the brain. I mean, in the head. Yeah, in the brain. Right? So you don't think that, oh, I can just reach out there and get it. Right? Or like when you're communicating with someone, you think this is the boundary of you. So when they're over there, sitting over there, away from you, right? So you don't think of yourself as this whole space. So therefore, you don't use it. You don't learn how to like feel into the space around you. And when you're doing that, you're also feeling into that person. You're not violating them. I mean, some people can do that, you know. They don't have such a pure intention. But if your intention is pure, then you will really gather the right information from them. It's not you're not violating their privacy. You're just really reading them for what they are. They may be delivering information to you that isn't really accurate. It's not really representative, because all words do is point to things. Words just point to things. They are not the thing itself, right? So if I say I'm angry, I'm pointing to how I feel, but it may or may not be true. Right? But you could feel my anger if I was really angry. You know, our eyes could see it. Our eyes are reading the energy. And I might say, I'm angry. And you look at me and you're like, you don't look angry to me. Not sensing anger from you, right? But if I was really angry, then you would sense it. You probably would feel it. But because we've been so trained out of using our inner senses, our ability to sense and feel outside of the physical body, we don't use that. So we think we're just doing it with our eyes, but there's so much more to it. You know, so it's really, when I was watching that UFO thing, he was talking about this encounter with this person and how it was all telepathic. Like the man was saying words to him, but they weren't in our language. They were a different language. So he wasn't understanding the words, but the information was like as clean as possible. Like he knew what the man meant, but the man wasn't saying words. He wasn't saying any English. And he said it was really clean and pure, and he could feel all the energy, like everything the man was saying, he could feel. And he said it was like love. It was really beautiful. But then when the man was like, something was wrong with his ship and he needed to get tritium. And I should know this, but I'm not sure, but I think it might be an isotope of hydrogen. So there's hydrogen, deuterium, and I think that third one is tritium. But anyway, he needed tritium. So he was asking the man, this American, do you know where I can find some tritium? And the man said, well, dream world is over here. What in a dream world, I believe he didn't really go into detail about it, but it's part of this secret division of the government that was doing studies on captured ETs, and not in a nice way. They were like taking apart their bodies, and I don't know. Yeah. So not in a good way. And when the American said it to this ET, the ET had this feeling of like disgust, like, and he said back to him, I can't, I cannot, I can't go to those people. Those are terrible people, you know. And so then he gave him another option of what he thought he could maybe find, because he worked with like a geologist or yeah, some sort of geologist or something. And so and then the man went off. But it was the type of interaction that he felt. He said it was really like pure connection. It felt like love. He could feel everything the man was saying. He could feel it. And part of that, the reason he can do that is because that man's vibration, that being's vibration, is really high. So that will happen. Like, you know, you've heard in the presence of Jesus, people would just, right? He had a lot of power. His magnetic field was, I've been told when I went to Israel and went to all the different sites that he'd been in, I heard that his magnetic field was really strong. You could feel him really far away. And I've also experienced people like that. I experienced Amma. She's that Indian kind of guru woman who gives all the hugs. I could feel her field before I think I told you guys about this before. I was at her ashram here, not too far from my house. And I felt, this is right after the Kundalini rising experience, and I could feel a lot of energy. And I felt her arrive. Like I knew as soon as she got there, I said, I said, I think she's here, because I could feel it. It just feels like joy. It feels magical. It's really beautiful energy. And the more you go into your heart, because I can feel mine, I really feel mine. It's really powerful, and it gets more powerful every time I put my attention on it. So the more you just allow your heart to shine, and just what I did is I just kept like pulling back the layers so I could feel like, so imagine a light 1,000 times brighter than the sun, just shining from your chest. And then what if, if that was just shining bright, what would that feel like? Right. So then like I would just feel myself kind of like let the layers of my nervous system and my chakra system, like the belief systems that hide that light, I would just feel them like kind of go away. I would just feel it get brighter and brighter and brighter. And now, it feels big. It feels really big. And that's the energy we're creating with. That's the life force energy. That's the energy, the white light in the center that I always show in those photos, those images. That's what's creating all of this. That is the mind of the one. That is God. And God is then dreaming us. And we are it. We are pieces of God. We all have the same capabilities as God. God's dreaming the universe. We dream at night, right? And we're actually dreaming this, where each one of us are in our own little dream bubble, but collectively we're sharing a dream here as Earth. So everything is made out of that one light. And it is taking on different shapes. So think about when you have a dream at night, all those different forms in your mind are in you. They're all made out of, in some cases you are actually going places, right? You're experiencing some other parts of the universe. And in sometimes you are only just in your own little dream bubble, and all the symbols that are appearing as objects, they're just symbolic of things in your life. They're representing certain ideas, just like they are here too. And so sometimes you're only in your own little dream bubble. So everything that's showing up in that dream is created from what? The energy of your mind. The white light too. So it's all coming out of that one light, and the white light is appearing as infinite many things, all these different things. So your dream body in your dream at night, the entire dream reality, the space in the dream, all of that is an illusion appearing inside of your consciousness, your field of awareness. Same as what we're doing right now. Now, within that is then our chakra system. So you can think of the white light as the highest energy. And that's what our scientists are showing us, that it's infinite, literally infinite. And when you guys start feeling your heart energy, you'll see it doesn't stop. As you keep your attention on it, you can do it right now. Just like be aware of it. And maybe you can feel it. Maybe some of you are starting to feel it. Do you guys feel it? Any of you feel it yet? Yeah? Joe? Sean, you're feeling it? Okay. What does it feel like?
Like in your center, like I can feel like who
Yeah.
I am right here for sure.
Mhm.
And then sometimes I can feel, if I focus on that, I can feel my awareness beyond me. I don't know if that's the right word to say, but I definitely,
Yeah.
when I bring myself down, I feel myself outward as well.
Okay.
That's
But
just
does it feel like this like this stream of energy like shining out like the sun? Does it feel, do you,
I don't know
Joe?
if I would describe it like
No. Okay. Yeah. Joe? Oh, I can't hear you. Are you talking? Oh, the volume, I can't hear you. Can anyone else hear Joe? No. You're not on mute. It says you're not on mute.
We did hear him talk before. He was talking. So
Oh, oh, your mic is bad. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so eventually you'll be able to feel it. I'm sure of it. And it doesn't stop. As long if you keep your attention on it, it like doesn't stop. So I know it's infinite. And this was when I felt that, but that was when I first really understood, because in Vedic science, they tell you right away that the truth of who you are is infinite, eternal, ever present, unaffected, blissful awareness. And when I heard the word infinite, I was like, well, okay, so what's the difference between infinite and eternal? Okay, eternal means you don't die, right? But then what is infinite? Why would they use two different words? Right. So I was like, but does infinite also mean eternal? But it was when I felt the energy, and then I felt that it doesn't stop. If you just keep your attention on it, it's like it just keeps going and going and going. It doesn't stop. I was like, that's what it is. That's the infinity. And then when I started studying the physics, listening to Nassim Haramein, and he said, he took out this book, Gravitation. It's an older book written by, I don't know, maybe Wheeler and some others. I can't remember who they were. Maybe three or four other physicists. They renormalize the value of the vacuum. So they call this a vacuum, which is a misnomer, because there is no vacuum. There's no empty space. It's filled with energy, but it looks like empty space. So we call it the vacuum. But the vacuum energy in one sugar cube volume of space is 10 to the 93 grams in that one sugar cube volume of space. That's 10 with 93 zeros. It's infinite. And that's a renormalized value, meaning they took it down because they can't deal with infinities. They need a number that they can deal with. So it literally is infinite. So that energy is stepping itself down. So right. So if you think of the white light as the background of everything, the mind of the one, the mind of the one is going to dream, it has to take some of that energy and only use part of it to create forms, right? It has to filter out some of that light. Otherwise, it can't you wouldn't know anything other than it. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Because if it was just the white light, you can't see anything but the white light. And you can have this experience where you are the white light. I had that very early on in my meditation, when I started meditating in 2014. And I didn't understand it. And I had this, I just closed my eyes. I was sitting outside one day. I closed my eyes to meditate. And then boom, like there was this white light and I was it. And it was everything, everything. Like there was nothing other than the white light. And I didn't know what that was for a long time. But I knew how beautiful it was. It was really beautiful. But as soon as I had the thought, like, wow, then I popped out of it. Because then when you have that thought, there's me and another, right? So that's why that goes away, because now there's two things instead of one thing. So the white light state, we can all have it because we are all God having a unique experience. And that's also that's called the holographic nature of the universe. That the information, all the information in the universe appears in every part of the universe. That's the holographic nature of the universe. Well, why would that be? Because it's one mind dreaming. Does that make sense? Like when you have a dream at night, that whole entire dream, even though it appears as many different forms, is occurring inside your mind. So that means every single part of that dream is you. It's your mind. So it's the same for this reality too. So now when it steps itself down here, when we are here experiencing life here, we have, you could think of like, so some of that light is being filtered away. So only some of it is being crystallized to form our subtle body, which you can think of as the chakra system, or the chakra system would be within the subtle body. And then the physical body is within that. The physical body is crystallized, is more solid than the subtle body. So you could think of like the physical body as like ice, the subtle body is liquid, and then our mind, our consciousness as, or our field of awareness as gas. Okay, so the chakra system is these different energy centers within the physical body, and there are many chakras, but the main ones are the 7 along the spine: the crown, the third eye, the fifth chakra here, which represents ether, the heart chakra, which represents air, the solar plexus, which represents fire, the sacral, just below the belly button and inward, represents water, and then the root represents earth. Okay. These are the 4 lower ones are what are called the emotional energy centers. So when you feel emotion, it's here in the lower body, right? I mean, it kind of feels like a whole body thing, but mostly it's in the lower body, like the emotions we feel. These are more of the intelligence centers. And the 5th chakra is how we're expressing that information. So what I've experienced is that you need them to all be integrated. So you know how the rainbow is all these different colors, but one just kind of blends into the next. That's what I've learned is it's not like you just work on one chakra. Oh, you've got this one blocked. If you've got any of them blocked, they're all blocked. And I think that it's the movement between, the flow between them is really important. So that's why I've had you do in the past and will do today is bring your attention into the root and then move up the spine and then down. But I'm going to have you do that today, but all the way down to the floor. So I'll have you go from your feet, below your feet, and then all the way up, a wave. I'm going to have you produce a wave in your body because you want them to be fluid. Now, at first, you might not feel anything. Over time, you will start to feel more and more. But these energy centers, it's the quality of them. So each one has, so the root chakra is earth. So it feels like it's like coming together. It's like building. It's like, earth. Think of what earth feels like. It looks like salt. It looks solid and together, like individual. So when you have a strong root chakra, so just put your attention there now. Just sense and feel the root chakra. So for men, it's right between, so it's near the prostate gland. And for women, it's in the cervix, right? The opening to the uterus. So just place your attention there and see if you can feel. So first feel expanded, sense and feel the space all around you. Sorry, my throat's really dry. Go into the field and then place your attention on the root chakra. So I always try to have you go into the expanded state first because I want you to go into your true self, not the personality self. So I want you to expand out. And then from that expanded state, you place your attention on the root. Now you can move your attention from the root where I told you for men, it's where the prostate is, and for women, it's near the cervix. And you can kind of shift around there a little bit and move maybe to just the base of the pelvic floor and see if you feel a difference. And maybe you can just encompass that whole area to sense and feel the energy in that whole entire region of the pelvic floor and inside the body. And you might feel a sense of like coming togetherness. Like you have a strong foundation. And so that energy there, if you had parents that were really supportive, or some sort of adult that played a very supportive role and was a good role model for how to be a strong person in the universe, you probably have a solid root chakra. But if you didn't feel safe or nurtured or supported by someone, you might not have a very strong root chakra. So it's the quality of the energies in each one of these chakras that will determine the quality of your life. So just by sensing and feeling the root, you might notice the energy build. Are you guys feeling that? Can you raise your hand if you're feeling it? You don't feel anything? Dia, you felt something? Yeah. And Joe, you felt something? So it's very subtle. These energies are very subtle. And so you want to also get in the expanded state. So when you're sensing and feeling the space all around you, right, you're expanding out. Sorry, my throat. Okay. You're expanding out and then you center your attention there. So don't try to strain. You're not trying to focus. You're trying to see Allow the information to come to you. So allow yourself to experience it. You're not trying to make it build, but you're becoming aware of that energy center. And it's very subtle. So it's important when we do this type, any of the work that we are doing, it's important that you want to keep your mind open to receive. So by sensing, just kind of being aware of that space, you might feel a coming togetherness. Is that like energy is gathering, and you might feel more supported. You want to allow yourself to experience the very subtle energy there. Now you can inhale, and as you inhale, let it expand. So imagine that there's just this ball of energy there at the root. And as you inhale, you let it expand beyond the hips into the space around you. Maybe you allow it to fill the room. So imagine this ball of energy, 360 degrees in that space. And as you inhale, you allow it to expand, to fill the room that you're in. And on the exhale, you allow yourself to relax and sense and feel the energy. And keep doing that. Inhaling. Exhaling, allow yourself to experience the energy. And it's okay, don't strain. The more you allow, the more the information can come to you. So you're allowing yourself to perceive. Now, what's beautiful about this is you don't have to use any words. So you will become really good at manipulating your subtle energy body, these subtle energies. And as you do, that will then change the qualities of what's showing up in the universe outside of you. Because there really is no inner and outer. We use those terms to talk about these things. But your physical body and that bring your attention inside the physical body is no different than the outside world. The outside world is a reflection of the inside world. The physical body is just an illusion. It's just an energy. It's a expression of your inner world. So that's just an example. Maybe you felt it, maybe you didn't, but maybe you feel a little bit more supported, like solid here in this world by sensing and feeling your root. And so you didn't have to use words to build any confidence. That confidence, that little bit of support, depending on how much you felt it, gave you, that all came from you manipulating the energy. You sensing and feeling the energy and intending for it to grow. So right now you can intend, set your intent, like make it build. And see if you notice a difference. And then just notice how, when you make it build, what that does to you psychologically. Do you feel more empowered? Do you feel just a little more confident than you normally do? you feel like you could go and take care of something, go and do something that you want to get done. It just puts, it's like, I am here, I'm a creator, I can make things. I have the support of the universe. These words are just pointing to the qualities of the energy. So now if you bring your attention up the spine into the second chakra, which is about 2 finger widths below the navel, the belly button, and then in towards the spine. Now just allow yourself to get expanded again, and allow yourself to sense and feel this energy. And this is water element. So these are energy essences, and they influence our psyche, our psychology. And therefore they influence how we feel about the world, how we perceive the world, how we feel about ourselves. And they are also influencing the experiences that come to us. These are the colors that are painting. So each one has a different color. The root is red. The second chakra is an orange color or yellow, kind of an orange yellowish color. The third chakra is orange. The heart chakra is green. Throat chakra is blue. And like the upper 2 chakras are like a violet, a purple and a violet. Purple and then violet. So the lower 4 or 5 are coloring our world. And the upper 2 is the intelligence that determines how we're using those colors. So the second chakra, if you sense and feel the second chakra, just behind the belly button and inward, or just below the belly button and inward, just allow yourself to become, or allow yourself to perceive the energy there. And it might just feel like empty space at first, but over time, as you allow yourself to practice this, you'll become aware of the different qualities. And so if you keep your attention there, the energy will concentrate. You'll begin to experience it more and more, but it's got a different quality than the root chakra. It has the qualities of water. So for me, what it feels like is if I were in the ocean, kind of a calm ocean, and I can feel the waves. So it's out beyond the breakers. So I'm not feeling strong waves, but I'm feeling the water kind of lap up and hug me. They come lap up and then another wave and another wave. And this is how nourished do you feel by the universe? It has like a sensual, think about water, how it in the ocean, how it just kind of moves. And you feel it touch your skin. It has that quality to it. So how nourished do you feel? And then think about where it is. It's right where your intestines are. And then the third chakra is right behind the upper ribs. And it represents fire. And now, if you sense and feel this area, notice if you can sense that quality of fire. Maybe not heat, it can be heat, but what does fire do? When fire burns, it stands up, right? It feels like it's rising up. So this represents transformation. How well can you convert things over in your life? Can you make things change? Now, to do that, to make use of that fire element, you still need to have a strong root chakra, because you have to have the confidence that you need to make it change. You can make it change. So if you have a lot of fire, but you don't have confidence, you might be angry, or you might be frustrated. You want things to change. You have like desire to make things change. But because you lack confidence, which is earth element, you're not getting it done. So you need all of these things to work together. And then once you make something change, you want to share it with the world. Once you realize something, you want to share it with the world. And that's air element with the heart. You feel your chest. So it's not the spiritual heart. The spiritual heart's deeper, right? Heart chakra is like a layer on top of the spiritual heart. It's filtered out of the spiritual heart, right? So it's different. So just feel like it's air element. So think of expanding your chest area on all sides. Inhale and let it expand out into the environment. So when you have a healthy heart chakra, you feel connected to everything. It's air element. It's going out and reaching out and connecting into your environment, connecting to others. So you think about an idea. If you had an idea of something you wanted to create in the universe, that idea it's being pulled out of the field. So it stands on its own. So think earth element. And then you nourish that idea. So second chakra, you nourish that idea, keep paying attention to it. You become a little creative around it. And then maybe you transform it somehow. And then you share it with the world. Isn't that what we all want to do? When we come up with an idea, we think about and mull over it. We nourish it with our mind, our attention. We maybe change some aspect of it. So we're nourishing and changing it. So that's second chakra, third chakra. And then we want to share it with everyone. That's the natural state. That's built into us. Isn't that what everyone's doing right now? All over social media, everyone's sharing their passion. They're sharing their interests. We're designed to do that. And then we might speak it out through our throat, right? So the upper two chakras, so the crown chakra above the head, like the center of the head and above, like where the crown is, the top of your head, if you sense and feel that area, it's more unity. It's your connection to the higher intelligence above your head. And if you sense and feel the crown, it feels more like oneness. Undifferentiated, almost kind of similar to the spiritual heart, but different from the root. right? The root feels more solid, like individualized, whereas the crown feels more like unity, oneness. And then if you come down lower into the third eye, just behind the eyes, now you could start to be able to see colors here and experience other dimensions from here, but it is your sense of you as a human consciousness. So it's these upper two that are, or three, the throat two, that are like your intelligence. The throat is more like it's allowing the expression of your intelligence or the expression of the emotional energies down below. We'll go more into this in the next session. So the crown going down. So you feel the crown, it's more unity. You come down into the eye area, the third eye area, that's more an individual. You feel like you're an individual. This is where most of us sit. Most of us spend our time just here. And we don't have any awareness of our lower chakras or our crown, our connection to higher frequencies. And then you can come into the throat and feel how that feels. It's ether, which is the vacuum. Feels like ether. And then you go into the heart chakra and it feels like air. And don't worry if you can't feel these. We're going to practice. And then come a little bit lower into the solar plexus behind the upper ribs, and you feel fire element. So now if you think from the crown, that's your connection with higher frequencies, unity consciousness. So like think of angels and saints. And then you're bringing that information down into the third eye, into your individuated consciousness, your human consciousness, down into the throat, down into the heart, air element, sharing it with the world. Bring it down into the third chakra, fire. Down into the second chakra, water. And then down into the first chakra, earth. So it's like you're taking the higher frequency knowledge and you're integrating it into your human psyche in the chakras in the physical body, and you're grounding it here in your physical world reality. Over time, you will start to feel the energy actually flow that way. And some of the exercises we do will help you experience that. So there's energy going down. Remember the double torus. There's energy going down from the crown into the root. And then there's also energy from the root going up. So let's take an idea. Let's say you have an idea, because that's what we create with, right? We create with our ideas. Or let's say we want to create a company. So you have a business concept. So that's an idea. Or maybe you want to share an idea with the world. Maybe it's a business concept. Maybe it's just a spiritual concept that you've become aware of. But you have an idea, so it's individuated. You're separating it out from the infinite potentials. So think of root chakra. It's an idea that's coming together. You're holding it apart from everything else. You're really focusing on it, paying attention to it. You're nurturing the idea. You're putting your own spin on the idea, water element. You're doing a little bit more of that fire element, transforming it into your thing. And then it comes up higher into the heart chakra, and then you share it with the world. And you use your voice to help you do that. So these energies we can use, we're using them, but we haven't been taught really how to use them. So we can use these energy essences of our chakras to transform our life. So if you're finding that, you know, there's something you want to change in your world, but it's not changing, you want to think about it, mull it over, right? So that's like earth chakra. You're paying attention to it, you're solidifying it, you're understanding it. You want to nurture that idea. What can I do to help change this? What can I learn from this water element? It then transforms into fire element, where you transform your understanding of it and then you share it. Heart, air element, heart chakra. But do you see, if you feel the root, like let's say you don't really have a lot of confidence in some idea that you're trying, that you're curious about. But if you build energy in your root just by simply putting your attention there, and over time, you're going to get better and better at this. So all you'd have to do is like, I want more confidence right now. And you'll feel the energy rise up in your root. I want to feel more nurturing and softer. I want to feel more sensual right now, and your water element will ignite. I want to feel more fire right now. I really need to transform this. Okay, I want to do this, right? So your fire element will ignite. I want to feel more connected to my world, connected to the people in this room, connected to my group here. So you activate your heart chakra. It'll be fast. It'll be quick. And all you had to do was set the intention, and you'll get the feedback immediately. And then that feedback might make you a little bit more curious. And so that's very important, that dynamic, understanding that dynamic of the double Taurus spin, right? So you experience, you hold something in your awareness, you become aware of it, you process it, it amplifies. The more you keep your attention on it, it keeps amplifying and amplifying and growing and growing. And the more you keep your attention on it, then those qualities, you become those qualities, right? So if you want to only experience the highest level of consciousness on this planet that's available to us, then what do? You keep your attention on the highest frequency perspective that you can have access to. And you only allow yourself to experience that. And and it's not like you're shutting everything away, but you're just saying, this is what I want my experience to be. I only want to experience the highest frequency. I want to understand this reality from the highest frequencies possible, from the highest perspective possible. I want to understand this reality from God's perspective. How does God see this universe? That's what I want to do. And so you feel the connection at your crown, you feel the connection at your heart, and you choose to only allow yourself to perceive the highest frequencies. But when I say highest frequencies, that means all inclusive. You're not shutting anything out, because otherwise, if you're shutting things out, you're actually not shutting them out. You're invalidating them. And when you invalidate something, you're separating it. So when I say highest frequencies, I really mean highest perspective possible. The highest perspective possible is inclusive. And the more you focus on that type of attitude, then your vibration will raise. And you keep doing it, and your vibration will raise higher. And the people you interact with will be of that vibration. You still might see some that aren't, but you'll have a different perspective of them. You won't judge them so much, because you'll understand them for what they are. So all these new ideas will come to you. What's important is not to chase an experience. So And in the beginning of your conscious spiritual journey, because it's all a spiritual journey, it's just whether we were conscious of it or not. We might tend to want to chase these experiences, like the Kundalini rising experience. You hear people having these experiences and you're like, I want that. And so you're just chasing that experience. And I don't recommend that, because those experiences will come if they're meant to come for you. You might not have designed your experience to include that, but maybe you did. And they will come if they're meant to come, but they're more likely to come when you're not chasing them. Because when you're not chasing them, that means you're open. You've got an open awareness. You're open to possibilities. And when you're open to possibilities, that's when your vibration raises, right? Because when your mind is open, you're available, you're ready to receive, more energy floods in, and then you're more likely to have these experiences. So today, what we're going to do is we're not going to do the normal breath work, because that also sometimes people can chase experiences with that. And so it's very valuable. That breath work is very valuable for you to clear out the mind, because in our country, especially, we have a lot of what's called Rajasic energy. So there's 3 qualities of the mind: Sattvic, Rajas, and Tamas, or Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. A Sattvic mind is a mind that's very open and pure. So that means they see reality for what it actually is. It's a very peaceful mind. It doesn't have a lot of chatter. But most of our society has a very Rajasic mind. And anytime you have Rajas, you also have Tamas. So Rajas is a very fast mind. It's hopping from one topic to the next, right? A Rajas, now what the mind is doing, the body follows. Okay, so when you've got a very Rajasic mind, one that's hopping from topic to topic and projecting their ideas, their belief systems onto the world, then over time you get tired and you crash, and then you have a very tamasic mind. You're dull in the morning. You might need coffee to get going. A tamasic mind is dull, heavy mind. So people that are depressed have more tamasic energy. People who are hyperactive have more rajasic energy. People who are peaceful and present and aware, they have a sattvic mind. You want to cultivate your life to have a sattvic mind, because a sattvic mind is a peaceful, pure mind. And that's a revealing mind. When you have a sattvic mind, things come to you. You perceive things that most people can't. So these practices, we want to really cultivate that sattvic mind. And when you have a sattvic mind, you have an open mind, the energy rises, more information is coming in.